Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. It's been well over 30 years since Nigeria's film industry, which is globally reputed to be the third fastest growing among its kind, burst out of the shells, and in the course of that time has gone on to create a myriad of opportunities for multi-talented Nigerians on screen and behind it to boot. But beyond job creation and the early days buzz around exciting content and interesting productions, an argument among industry purists continues to subsist around how much Nollywood has gone to attract global acclaim and appreciation for its undoubted potential. In those 3 decades, the global film industry has copiously embraced and adopted technology as an ally in the mad race to perfection. In summary, things have become ultra-competitive, and with streaming platforms dominating the center stage, is Nollywood adequately positioned to take advantage? Well, joining us to have a conversation around this matter and, of course, talk about their latest project, The Olive, are Esse Akwawa, a TV and film producer and director in the company of Demi Banwo, himself an actor, both rising stars in Nigeria's globally acclaimed film industry, Nollywood. Now, tons of appreciation to you. Thank you for being here this Saturday morning, and of course, Eid Mubarak to you both.
Good morning.
Thank you so much. Good morning.
Before we start talking about The Olive, which is your latest project, I just want to have like a general overview as to where you believe Nollywood is now, in relation to global streaming. Now we're seeing, streaming platforms like Accelerate TV picking up a series like Olive. We're seeing Amazon Prime picking up, movies and series like, one that you are an executive producer on, Demi, and even Netflix, which has gone on to put out so much content from Nollywood. Do you think that this is its time? This is the time for us to really show the world what we've got. So start with you, ladies first, Esse.
Thank you very much. Yes, I would say Nollywood is here. Nollywood's here to stay, and Nollywood is global. If you look at 10 or 20 years back, we were majorly just doing home videos. We were not exactly global. But what you're seeing now is Nollywood is taking over Africa. Either you like it or not, we're like either number 2 or number 3 in the world category, right? So it's time for us. That's why you have people like Amazon Prime and the likes of Netflix here, trying to set up shop here, putting so much money on our content. And Accelerate Plus is also doing that to not just encourage Nollywood, which is Nigerian film industry, but also to encourage African film industry. Because at the end of the day, right, if Nigeria is winning, Africa also needs to win. We are taking Africa along with us. So I would say Nollywood is taking the forefront in Africa, and we're going global. So we are at a very good stage in our time now, yes.
What about you, Demi?
To buttress what now is a great time to be part of Nollywood. You look at the progress that we've made just in the last 5 years. In the last 5 years, the scale of productions have increased, the scale of storytelling has increased, and I think that now filmmakers are a bit more confident, a bit more daring to explore different genres from what we would have explored before. The audience is now global. It's not just a Nigerian audience anymore, thanks to the incoming of the streamers. But then that also comes with its set of challenges, because at the end of the day, because it's a global audience, we're not being put side by side with other global industries. So as filmmakers, we definitely we're working on rising to meet those demands, to meet those standards. But I think that right now, especially with what has gone on with the industry like Afrobeats, and you look at even the Nigerian fashion industry, Nollywood is very primed to make that sort of, or to see that sort of success.
Okay, let me look at it this way. How do local, Nigerian streamers, how do they compare with the international ones, in terms of the visibility and reward that they give to producers and, creators like your good selves? I'm asking that because of the report from Netflix the other time. Good money invested over time. I think about $23 million or something. But guess what? Part of the report was that 75% of that, the total investment in Africa, went to South Africa. Yeah. So yes, we say that we are number 2, we are number 3, but then South Africa takes the chunk of the thing. Yeah. So how is there faith at all in our own local streamers? Can they rise up to the challenge and then compete?
I mean, I believe so, because at the end of the day, Nollywood is a very young industry. You know, we're still in the infancy stages of the industry. So we're
After
still,
30 years?
I mean, if you compare it to Hollywood, that is about 100 years, you know, we're still in the early stages of the industry. So I think that as an industry, we're still finding our feet. You know, I think it's a bit too early to say that these are the definites and this is definitely how this is going to go and this is definitely how that is going to go. I think that part of the reason why you would see a lot of investment going to places like South Africa is because they have the structures in place. You know, they have the government backing in place to be able to manage these structures. That's the part of the industry that we are still lacking, that we are hoping that within the next few years we can actually with government partnership, we can actually say that, you know, these structures are put in place to be able to manage that kind of money. Because it's one thing to say, okay, you're investing all this money into the industry, but how is that money managed? Do we have the capacity to be able to spend that money efficiently, to be able to maximize that money efficiently? So I think that, again, it's been progress, but progress is generally upwards. You know, it's generally upwards.
Yeah.
All right, then. So let's shift our attention to The Olive. I mean, you're a producer and you feature in the series. Can you just tell us a bit more about it? I mean, what was it about the story that drew you in? And why was it important to tell the story at this time?
Okay, so this is actually the season 2 of The Olive. We shot season 1 during the pandemic in 2020. It was directed by Yemi Morafa, which I also produced alongside 2 amazing women, Edith Wenkenta and Chidinma Igbokweche. After season 1, we saw the reception, and the fact was that The Olive came out as a web series. You know, it was on Accelerate TV, on YouTube. And as at that time, the number of web series we had was good, but like when The Olive came up, people were like, this should not be a web series. It's still good for a web series. So the reception was really great. And we said, you know what, let's go again for a season 2. And this time around, we had the support of Accelerate Plus, a streaming platform, who had said, you know what, we're going to give you guys the budget. Go shoot season 2. You will see it on our platform exclusively while you also put it on your YouTube channel. So it's a story about a single dad, you know, battling fatherhood when his wife died and all the challenges they had to go through. It started like a family drama, but before you know what's happening, this thing has gone so dark and you're wondering what's going on. So it's actually a lovely story that I think everyone should see. For those that have seen season 1, trust me, I'm sure they're watching and saying, yes! It's actually very addictive and it's amazing. So if you haven't seen season 1, please see it first before you see season 2, so you don't get confused. Because season 2 is amazing, and Demi did a wonderful job. Demi wasn't in season 1, but he was introduced in season 2. And maybe he can talk more about that.
So for me, as an actor, there are certain, I call them like dream bucket list, actor bucket list. And for me, the big sell on this was that I got to play Joke Silva's son.
Yes.
That has always been on my bucket list. And it was such a challenging role because it's also a character that's in a wheelchair. And it's also a character that's addicted to some substances.
Yeah.
So as an actor, it was a big challenge for me. And I'm actually very grateful for the opportunity to have been able to do that. With the story as a whole, you know, coming into season 1, having to go back and watch, coming into season 2 and going back and watching season 1 and then seeing how different season 2 is from season 1. Because like she mentioned, season 1 was more of a family drama, but season 2, things just escalate. Like the way you think it's going to go is not the way it's going to go. You know, so I think that whatever tickles your fancy with regards to generally shows the wide range of emotions you're going to go through, I think you would find them in The Olive.
Yeah.
How many parts, how many series do you have in season 2? Is it something that you can gobble up, you know, sit down and just watch it in a whole day, or how does it work?
Yes, it's 13 episodes of 25 to 28 minutes per episode. However, it's a weekly show, so it comes out every week, every Friday, 4 p.m. on Accelerate TV on YouTube and on Accelerate Plus. So it's an app where you download on iOS or Android, just pay 500 naira monthly, and you have access to amazing content. Over 3,000 hours worth of African content, you know, made by Africans.
All right, so that leads me to the next question, which is, I mean, it has to do with part of what Demi said earlier, that, you know, once you are on global, you know, streaming platform, etc., it comes with its own challenges. It also, you know, places you side by side with international productions, etc.
Yeah.
First question: do you get to get approval for the content in, like in terms of censorship, or when it comes to streamers, it's totally your own
Anything
affair?
goes.
Because of what happened with Gangs of Lagos.
I know.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Is it the same thing with what you guys, are doing? And then, secondly, does that mean that if you have to be seen to be competing with Nollywood, then you just have to be as daring, as courageous as possible? It won't matter how many bloods you're spilling, on the camera, how many, in quotes, desecration, culturally speaking, comes up. Are those issues that you have to deal with in picking the sort of content that you're producing?
So basically, right, the digital platform is very, very different from the traditional platform.
Okay.
For the traditional TV, you have regulations, a lot of regulations you have to follow because it's under the Nigeria and the NBC, right? But for digital platform, you're streaming to not just Nigerians, not just Africans, to the world, right? Everybody has access to this. However, we still try to make sure we tell the good part, the good stories that puts Nigeria in a good place. But still, we need to tell the real stories. People who haven't been here before want to know what are the things that are here that they need to look out for, watch out for, or just know about. So if the regulators are going to be clamping down on our storytelling, our creativity, then they're not doing Hollywood any justice. Yeah. You get it? I mean, look at Hollywood. The government is so much in support of Hollywood that they give them the go-ahead to do a whole lot. They tell their own stories the way they want to tell it, creatively, without even bashing the country or the economy. But in Africa, we always get these stifling rules and regulations. And that's why a lot of creators and content creators, producers, we rather just go digital, because there we kind of have like a little bit of creative freedom.
Yeah.
Right?
Is it because there are no classifications and censorship there?
There are still...
You basically run with your content?
Yeah, you run with it. There's still sort of like some censorship here and there, but it's not very rigid, like the traditional media. Because if you're going to the cinema as well, if you have a film, you want to go to cinema, you still have to go to censors board. And trust me, there are some things that tell you, take it out, otherwise we won't censor it. But with digital, you can literally, it's like a free space to express yourself, notwithstanding you don't want to put the country in a bad light. Yeah. But sometimes you have to tell the truth, tell the real stories, so that, things can get done or things can be changed or something. Yeah. But we have to be true to ourselves as creatives. We cannot be stifled. And that's what I always say. Let creatives be creatives.
Yeah.
In towing that line of representing the country in a good light, and of course shining a light on the the ills of society, balancing that out, is that something that as a filmmaker, as an actor, as an executive producer, that you consciously look out for? And I know that we're obviously talking about the olive, but this is something that has come to the forefront, especially because of the success of Gangs of Lagos and everything that has happened with the desecration of our cultural heritage when it comes to Ayo. As a filmmaker, how do you tow that? How do you balance that out? Demi, this question is for you. How do you balance that out? Because you are. It's the elephant in the room. How do we resolve this issue?
So I'm a firm believer in art reflects life, life reflects art. A lot of what we know, or what we think we know about the US, comes from the American films we watch.
Exactly.
And then you get there and you realize that, things are a bit different from what we actually saw. So I believe that film has more power than we realize. Film has the power to set the impression of the country as a whole. Film has the power to reflect the country as it is. And I feel like as a filmmaker, you have to realize both of those things. You have to realize that, one, you have a duty of showing, telling the parts of, or telling the stories that we normally wouldn't engage with on a real life basis, but then also setting the tone for how Nigerians should be perceived or could be perceived all over the world. And I think that the more filmmakers embrace that, the more filmmakers embrace that reasonably, because I'm not saying, just go all out and run and do, you know, and do whatever you want, but within reason, because there's a lot of power in the work that we do. You know, and with great power comes great responsibility.
So you're a smart man now.
So, I mean, you know, so with great power does come great responsibility. And as filmmakers, we have to realize that we're in a position to actually be able to change things.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just art for art's sake. You know, it's art that can actually have an impact. You know, and again, like I said, with for example, now you look at the music scene and you look at how Nigerian music has been able to pervade into other societies, you know. And I feel like with film, we can actually take whatever agenda that we're setting as a country, we can actually use film to do that. You know, there's a lot of power in the reach that film can have.
Definitely.
Okay. So the Olive is not like a crime thriller of any sort? It's drama?
It's drama, however, there's some darkness to it.
I did see the byline. Good people do bad things too. Okay.
You know, a lot of people think, oh, good people are just good. They do bad things too. So watch out and see the kind of bad things good people are up to. So.
All right, very quickly before you go, I was just looking at the cast list here. You already mentioned Joke Silva. We have Stephanie Coker, Bolaji Ogumona, Debbie Frankson. What's when it comes to like casting for such series, what do you take into cognition when you're putting together your cast?
Okay, so for season 1, where we kind of like laid the foundation for the leads for the show, we're looking for actors who were very expressive. If you look at the cast choice of Teresa Idem, the person who played Ehi, you could tell that she was very expressive. We wanted someone who could play a good wife and also play a badass wife, pardon my French. And then we're looking for a husband who would look clueless. We said, okay, Ibrahim Suleiman had that look. He could look very clueless. However, he could also act and become someone who's very, very in tune with what's going on. So we made sure that every character was properly portrayed in the choice of cast we selected eventually. And then that also helped us season 2 as well, to make sure that the cast we brought in for season 2 we're also able to support the cast who were already there for season 1, and just a blend of both. It was actually an amazing process for us, casting these amazing people, and we're happy we did that.
All right.
Where was it shot?
It was shot in Lagos. In Lagos, and we shot this last year.
Okay.
Yes, so we're happy it's out now. So
how does it work with the money part for a series like this? To you as producers, and then to the actors that you engage.
Yeah.
Is it? I mean, are we getting there in terms of adequate compensation?
Demi, actors always believe we're not there yet, no compensation, and we believe we're trying. So for me, I would say, as producers, we try to make sure the actors are adequately compensated with their craft, right? However, I cannot give what I don't have. So we always call out to people, to investors, to EPs, and thankfully Accelerate Plus helped so much for season 2. They gave us a sizable budget. Oh yeah, sizable. So Demi had a nice. Did
receive a sizable salary?
It was nice.
Okay.
So all the cast members, they had a pool in their lodge. They were flexing.
Okay, who knows? Maybe we'll audition for only season 3. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you on The Morning Show.
Thank you for having us. Thank you so much.